I was 62 years old, sitting alone in my beach rental outside Cairns, watching the waves crash against the shore like they'd been doing for millions of years before me, and would keep doing long after I was gone. The divorce papers had been final for 3 years, but the loneliness still felt fresh. My kids in Sydney called maybe twice a year. If I was lucky, I'd started wondering if this was it for me. Just me, the ocean, and whatever was left of my superannuation. Then came her message on Facebook. "Hi Harlan. I saw your profile and you seem like a genuine person. My name is Aubrielle. I'm from Tagum City in the Philippines. I hope we can be friends." I stared at her photo for longer than I should have. She was beautiful. Stunning, really. Dark hair, warm eyes, maybe late 30s. I almost didn't reply. What would a woman like that want with an old bloke like me? But something made me type back. "Hello Aubrielle, thank you for reaching out. I'd be happy to chat." Her response came within minutes. "I'm so happy you replied. I was nervous you might think I was too forward. I just felt drawn to your profile. You look like someone who's lived a real life, you know? Not like these young guys who just want to play games." My heart did something I hadn't felt in years. A little skip. A flutter of hope. "What do you mean by that?" I asked. "I like older men. Calmer men. Men who know what they want and aren't afraid to be honest about it. I'm a single mom, Harlan. I've been hurt before. I need stability, not drama." We talked for hours that first night. She told me about her daughter Sophia, who was 12, about her job at a local shop, about how she'd been single for 2 years after a bad breakup with Sophia's father. "He left when Sophia was 8, she said. "Just disappeared one day. Didn't even say goodbye to her. That's when I realized I needed to be more careful about who I let into our lives." I found myself opening up too. About the divorce, about feeling invisible in my own marriage for the last 5 years of it, about moving to Queensland to start over and finding myself more alone than I'd ever been. "You don't sound alone to me," she said. "You sound like someone who's just been waiting for the right person to find you." 3 weeks later, we were video chatting daily. She'd call me after putting Sophia to bed, around 9 her time, 7 mine. I'd make dinner and eat it while we talked. She'd laugh at my stories about the local wildlife, the wallabies that came to my back fence. "I want to see that someday," she said one night. "I want Sophia to see it too. She's never seen a kangaroo, except in pictures." "Maybe you will," I said, feeling brave. "Do you really think so? Or are you just being nice to me?" "I never say things I don't mean, Aubrielle." She smiled, and something in my chest cracked open. "That's why I'm falling for you, Harlan. You're real. You're my forever kind of man. Forever." The word hung between us like a promise. "Tell me about your marriage," she said one night, about a month in. We'd been talking for nearly 2 hours, and I was starting to feel that comfortable tiredness that comes with real connection. "What do you want to know?" "Why it ended. If you're comfortable sharing." I took a deep breath. I hadn't talked about this with anyone. Not really. We grew apart. Or maybe we were never that close to begin with. Margaret and I, we got married because it seemed like the right thing to do. Both of us were 35, tired of dating. But we never really talked. Not like you and I talk. "What do you mean?" She'd come home from work, I'd come home from work. We'd eat dinner, watch TV, go to bed. Weekends were errands and obligations. 27 years of that. When she said she wanted a divorce, I wasn't even surprised. I was relieved. Aubrielle was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "That sounds so lonely." It was, even when I wasn't alone. "I understand that feeling," she said. "With Sophia's father, I felt invisible. Like I was just there to take care of everyone else's needs, but nobody cared about mine." "What were your needs?" I asked. "To be seen, to be appreciated. To have someone who actually wanted to talk to me, not just about bills or schedules or what needed fixing around the house." She paused. "To have someone who thought I was worth loving." Something twisted in my chest. "You are worth loving, Aubrielle. Do you really think so?" "I know so." She smiled, and I saw tears in her eyes. "This is why I chose you, Harlan. You see me, really see me. These young guys here, they just want one thing. But you're different. You listen when I talk. You ask about my dreams, not just my day." "What are your dreams?" "I want Sophia to go to university. I want her to have opportunities I never had. I want us to be safe, financially secure, and I want. She hesitated. What? I want to love someone who loves me back. Really loves me. Not just uses me. You deserve that. So do you. She looked directly into the camera. You're not just a foreigner to me, Harlan. You're my future. I can feel it. The next week, she called me crying. I'm so sorry to bother you with this, but I don't know who else to turn to. What's wrong? Sophia's school fees are due and I'm short. I've been working extra shifts, but it's not enough. I hate asking, but... She trailed off. How much do you need? $800. Australian. I know it's a lot, and I'll pay you back, I promise. Don't worry about paying me back. Sophia's education is important. Are you sure? I feel terrible asking. Aubrielle, if we're building a future together, then Sophia's future is important to me too. I love you, she said, and the words hit me like lightning. I love you so much, Harlan. 2 weeks later, it was her Wi-Fi bill. The connection kept cutting out during our calls. $150 to upgrade to reliable internet. I want to be able to talk to you properly, she said, without these interruptions. 3 weeks after that, it was Sophia's birthday. I want to make it special for her. She's been so good about me spending time talking to you. She knows you're important to me. $200 for a cake, decorations, a small gift. Each time, I sent the money without hesitation. It wasn't about the money, it was about being needed. About being the kind of man who could solve problems, who could provide, who could be useful to someone I loved. You're too good to me, she'd say after each transfer. I'm just trying to take care of you. Nobody's ever taken care of me before. Not like this. And I believed her. Because I'd never taken care of anyone like this either. Margaret had her own job, her own money, her own life. She'd never needed me the way Aubrielle did. Never looked at me like I was her hero. I want to meet you, I said one night, about 6 months in. I want to come to the Philippines. I want to meet Sophia. Aubrielle's face lit up. Really? You'd come all this way? Of course I would. I love you. I want to see your world. When were you thinking? Next month. I can book a flight to Davao, rent a car, drive to Tagum City. Oh my God, yes. Sophia will be so excited. She asks about you all the time. She wants to meet the man who makes her mama so happy. I spent the next week planning. Booked a flight for $3,000. Reserved a nice hotel in Davao. Researched restaurants, things we could do together. I even looked into schools, thinking about Sophia's future, our future. But 2 days before my departure, Aubrielle called in tears. Harlan, I'm so sorry. Sophia has a fever. She's really sick. The doctor says she might have dengue fever. Is she going to be okay? I think so. But I can't leave her right now. And I can't have you come while she's sick. What if you get sick too? My heart sank, but I understood. Of course, family comes first. Are you angry? No, sweetheart. I'm worried about Sophia. Can you change my ticket? The airline might charge you a fee. I don't care about the fee. I care about you and Sophia. I called the airline. $500 change fee, but they moved my flight back 3 weeks. Thank you for understanding, Aubrielle said. This is why I love you. You're so patient with us. But 3 days before my new departure date, she called again. More tears. My sister is in the hospital. She needs emergency surgery. I have to help pay for it. My whole family is counting on me. What kind of surgery? Appendix. It burst. She could die if she doesn't get the operation. How much do they need? $3,000. I know it's asking too much, but she's my only sister, Harlan. I can't let her die. I stared at my phone screen, feeling something twist in my stomach. But her sister's life was at stake. I'll transfer it tonight. Really? Oh God, thank you. You're saving her life. Do I need to change my flight again? A pause. I think so. I need to be at the hospital with her. I can't leave her alone, and I can't focus on us meeting while she's fighting for her life. Another $500 change fee. Another 3 weeks pushed back. I'm starting to wonder if the universe doesn't want us to meet, I said, trying to keep my voice light. Don't say that. We will meet. I promise. This is just bad timing. How's Sophia feeling? Better. Much better. She's asking when you're coming again. Tell her soon. Tell her I can't wait to meet her. But privately, I was starting to feel something I didn't want to acknowledge. A small, growing doubt. 3 emergencies in 2 months. $7,000 in medical bills and change fees. And I was still sitting in my rental in Cairns. Alone. I pushed the doubt down. People got sick. Families had crises. Real love meant supporting each other through the hard times. Didn't it? The last conversation we had lasted 3 hours. It was a Thursday night my time. Friday morning hers. We talked about everything. Our future. The house we'd buy together. How Sophia was doing in school. She'd been accepted to a private academy. She's so smart, Harlan. She gets that from me. Aubrielle laughed. But she's getting your kindness. She talks about you like you're already her stepdad. I want to be. I want to be there for both of you. You already are. You're more of a father figure to her than her real dad ever was. When can I finally come visit? Soon. I promise. My sister is better now, and Sophia is completely healthy. Maybe next month? Should I book the flight? Let me check my work schedule and get back to you, okay? I want to take time off so we can spend every minute together. I love you, Aubrielle. I love you more than anyone ever has, Harlan. You're my everything, my forever. Those were the last words she ever said to me. I woke up Friday morning, Queensland time, around 7, made my coffee, opened WhatsApp to send her a good morning message. The app opened to our conversation, but something was wrong. Her profile picture was gone. Just a gray circle where her beautiful face used to be. I typed "Good morning, beautiful" and hit send. 1 gray check mark. Message delivered, but not received. Then I noticed the timestamp. Last seen yesterday at 11:47 p.m. I waited an hour. Then 2. At 9 a.m., I tried calling her WhatsApp number. It rang once, then cut to silence. That's when I opened Facebook. Her profile was gone. Not deactivated. Gone. Like it had never existed. I checked Viber. Our conversation history was empty. She'd deleted her account there too. Messenger. Nothing. Instagram. Nothing. I sat staring at my phone for I don't know how long. My coffee went cold. My breakfast sat untouched. I kept refreshing the apps, thinking there had to be a mistake. A technical glitch. Maybe she'd gotten hacked. Maybe someone had deleted her accounts. I tried her old phone number, the one she'd given me before we switched to WhatsApp. It rang once and went to an automated message in Tagalog. By noon, I was in full panic mode. I created a new Facebook account and searched for her name, Aubrielle Santos. Aubrielle Santos, Tagum City. Aubrielle Santos, Philippines. Nothing. Not a trace. I found a Filipino expat group and posted, "Looking for someone from Tagum City. Aubrielle Santos. Single mother. Please help." No responses for hours. Then a private message from someone named Jake. "Mate, I saw your post. I'm going to be straight with you. If someone blocks you on every platform overnight, it's not an accident. It's not a hack. It's intentional. But we were talking about meeting. We were planning a future together. How much money did you send her?" The question hit me like a physical blow. That's not. It wasn't about money. How much? I opened my banking app, scrolled through the transfers, school fees, medical bills, Wi-Fi upgrades, emergency surgery, change fees for flights I never took. About 28,000 Australian. Jesus Christ. Mate, I'm sorry, but you've been scammed. No. She loved me. She said I was her forever. They all say that. Look, I've been living in the Philippines for 5 years. I've seen this dozens of times. They call it love scamming. They build up a relationship, get you emotionally invested, extract money, then disappear. But her daughter, the school fees, her sister's surgery, probably all lies. The photos, the stories, the sick relatives, all of it. I felt something break inside me. Not my heart, something deeper, my ability to trust my own judgment. What do? Nothing. She's gone. The money's gone. File a police report if you want, but they'll never catch her. Just learn from it. I closed the chat. Put my phone down. Walked to the window and stared at the ocean. The waves were still crashing, same as always. But something fundamental had shifted in my world. The woman who called me her forever hadn't even thought I deserved a goodbye. I couldn't sleep that night. Or the next. I kept checking my phone, hoping for a message, an explanation, anything. But the silence was absolute. I started researching. Reverse image searches on her photos. Nothing came up. Either they were original, or she was better at this than most. I joined every Filipino Facebook group I could find. Posted her photo. Has anyone seen this woman? Her name is Aubrielle Santos from Tagum City. Please help. A few likes. No comments. Then the posts would disappear. Admins deleting them as spam. I called the Australian Federal Police. They took my report but weren't hopeful. Romance scams are nearly impossible to prosecute, the constable said, especially international ones. The perpetrators use fake identities, untraceable phone numbers, accounts registered to other people. But I have her photo. Her address in Tagum City. Sir, that address probably doesn't exist. Or if it does, she's never lived there. These scammers are professionals. I hired a private investigator in Davao City. Cost me another $2,000. He came back after a week with nothing. I checked Tagum City records. No, Aubrielle Santos matches the age and description you provided. I showed her photo around. Nobody recognizes her. I'm sorry, Mr. Briggs, but I don't think this person exists. She has to exist. I talked to her for 14 months. You talked to someone using that name and photo, but the real person behind those accounts? Could be anyone. Male, female, young, old, single, married. Could be a team of people taking turns. That night, Jake messaged me again. How are you holding up? Not great. I feel like an idiot. Don't. These people are professionals. They study Western men, learn exactly what to say to make us fall in love. They prey on loneliness. Did you get scammed too? Almost. Caught it early. Lost about $3,000 before I woke up. But I've met dozens of guys who lost everything. House deposits, retirement funds. One bloke lost $250,000. How do they live with themselves? They see it as a job. Rob from rich foreigners, feed their families. They justify it by thinking we can afford it. I can't afford it. That was most of my savings. I know, mate, and I'm sorry. But there's something you need to understand. Getting angry at her, whoever she really is, isn't going to help you heal. You need to get angry at yourself. What do you mean? You ignored red flags. Never wanting to meet. Always having emergencies. Constantly needing money. Deep down, you knew something was off, but you chose to believe the fantasy instead of the reality. He was right. And that made it worse. I'd been so desperate to feel needed, to feel loved, that I'd ignored every warning sign. The postponed meetings, the convenient crises. The fact that in 14 months of daily conversation, we'd never talked about anything concrete. No shared friends, no verifiable details about her life. I'd been in love with a ghost, and I'd paid $28,000 for the privilege. I made myself go through every transaction, every transfer, every dollar I'd sent to a woman who probably didn't exist. August 15th, $800 AUD. Sophia's school fees. September 3rd, $150 AUD. Internet upgrade. September 24th, $200 AUD. Sophia's birthday, October 12th. $600 AUD. Medical bills for food poisoning. October 30th, $1,200 AUD. Laptop for Sophia's schoolwork. November 18th, $3,000 AUD. Emergency surgery for her sister. December 8th, $500 AUD. Christmas presents for Sophia. January 15th, $800 AUD. Rent assistance, February 2nd. $1,500 AUD. Car repair March 20th. $2,000 AUD. Mother's medical treatment. April 5th. $650 AUD. School uniform and supplies May 10th. $1,200 AUD. Emergency dental work June 25th. $800 AUD. Air conditioning repair. July 8th. $1,500 AUD. Sophia's school camp August 12th. $2,000 AUD. Flooding damage to house September 1st. $3,000 AUD. Sister's second surgery, plus airline change fees, $1,500 AUD. plus investigation costs, $2,000. AOD, total, $28,400 Australian dollars. Nearly $30,000 over 14 months. More than $2,000 a month, on average. I stared at the numbers until they burned into my vision. Each transfer had felt like love, like being needed, like being the kind of man who could solve problems and protect his family. But looking at them all together, they told a different story. They told the story of a lonely old fool who'd been systematically drained by someone who probably laughed at his messages with her friends. The worst part wasn't the money. The worst part was that I'd felt good about sending it, proud even. Every crisis I'd helped solve, every emergency I'd handled, every need I'd met had made me feel important, valuable, like I mattered. Margaret had never needed me like that. My kids had never asked me for help with anything. But Aubrielle and Sophia, they'd depended on me, or so I thought. Now I realized what I'd actually been paying for. The illusion of being indispensable, the fantasy of being someone's hero. I'd bought myself a starring role in a love story, and I'd never questioned why the script felt so familiar. Because it wasn't my story. It was every lonely Western man's story, played out over and over again by professionals who knew exactly which buttons to push. "You're so different from other men," she'd said, but I wasn't different at all. I was exactly like every other mark they targeted. Divorced, lonely, financially stable, desperate to feel needed again. I opened a beer and sat on my back deck, watching the sun set over the Pacific. Somewhere out there was the Philippines. Somewhere in the Philippines was a person who'd stolen 14 months of my life and nearly $30,000 of my money. But the person I was angriest at was myself. Because deep down, in a place I'd refused to examine, I'd known something was wrong. And I'd chosen to believe the lie anyway. Because the lie felt better than the truth. The truth was that I was a 62-year-old man who'd been alone for so long that he'd pay anything, believe anything, ignore anything just to feel connected to another human being. And that truth was harder to face than losing the money. I didn't sleep for 3 days straight. Just sat in my chair, staring at the ocean, trying to make sense of what had happened to me. How I'd become someone I didn't recognize. How I'd ignored every warning sign because I'd been so desperate to believe in love. On the 4th day, I created a new email account. Not because I expected her to respond, not because I thought it would change anything, but because I needed to say something, even if it was only to a ghost. I typed, "Aubrielle, I know you'll probably never read this. I know you've moved on to your next victim. But I need to say this, more for me than for you. I loved you. Really loved you. Not the fake version of you that existed in those photos and messages, but the person I thought you were. The single mother struggling to build a better life. The woman who said she'd been hurt before and was scared to trust again. The woman who called me her forever. That person, even though she was probably fiction, meant everything to me. I'm not writing to beg you to come back. I'm not writing to ask for the money back. I know it's gone, and honestly, that's not what hurts the most. What hurts is that I gave you my heart, and you didn't think I deserved even a goodbye. What hurts is that I shared my loneliness with you, and you used it as a weapon against me. What hurts is that I told you about my failed marriage, my distant children, my fear of dying alone, and you saw opportunities instead of pain. I hope the money helped. I hope whoever you really are, wherever you really are, that you're able to sleep at night. I hope you don't have a daughter like Sophia, because I'd hate to think of her growing up to be someone who destroys other people for a living. But mostly, I hope you know that I was real. My feelings were real. My love was real. And that should have meant something. Goodbye, Harlan. I hit send before I could talk myself out of it. 3 days later, the email bounced back. Undeliverable. Account didn't exist. Of course it didn't. I laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Even my final goodbye had been rejected by an automated system. It's been 6 months now since that last conversation. 6 months since I woke up to silence and realized I'd been living in a fantasy. I'm still in Australia, but I moved. Sold the beach rental and bought a small house in Cairns proper. Closer to people. Closer to life. The ocean view was beautiful, but it had started to feel like isolation instead of solitude. I joined a chess club at the local community center. Mostly retired blokes like me, but a few younger players too. We meet twice a week. I'm not very good, but I'm learning. It feels good to engage my mind with something that doesn't involve staring at a phone screen waiting for messages that will never come. I started volunteering at the local animal shelter. Walking dogs mostly. They don't judge you. They don't want your money. They just want your time and attention, and they give you unconditional love in return. Simple transactions, honest ones. I haven't dated. Haven't even thought about it really. A few people have suggested online dating, but the idea makes my skin crawl. How would I know what's real? How would I trust my own judgment again? Maybe someday. But not now. I called my kids for the first time in months. Told them what happened. Not the details, not the embarrassing parts, but the basics. They were surprisingly understanding. "Dad, we were worried about you being alone up there," my daughter Sarah said. "We should have called more." "That's not your job, love. You have your own lives." "Yeah, but family looks out for each other. Even when we don't do it perfectly." We talked for an hour. Made plans for them to visit at Christmas. It won't fix everything, but it's a start. The money's gone. All of it. I've accepted that. I'll have to work a few more years before I can retire, but that's not the end of the world. Plenty of people work into their 70s these days. But the trust? The ability to open my heart to someone again? That's going to take longer to rebuild. Maybe it never will completely heal. Maybe that's okay. I think about her sometimes. Not Aubrielle. I know now that person never existed, but whoever was behind those messages. What kind of life leads someone to spend their days manipulating lonely people? What kind of desperation or hardship or moral blindness makes that seem like acceptable work? I'm not making excuses for her. What she did was cruel and calculated. But I've stopped hating her. Hate takes too much energy, and I need that energy for rebuilding my life. The thing that surprises me most is that I don't regret loving her. Even knowing it was based on lies, even knowing she was playing a role, the love I felt was real. The hope I felt was real. For 14 months, I woke up excited to talk to someone. I felt needed, appreciated, valued. Those feelings were genuine, even if their object wasn't. I'd rather be capable of love, even foolish love, than incapable of it at all. I'd rather be someone who trusts too easily than someone who can't trust at all. But I'm also learning to be okay alone. Actually, alone. Not desperately searching for connection online. Alone with my books, my chess games, my dog walks, my conversations with real people in real places. Her name still hurts when I think it. But it's a different kind of hurt now. Like an old injury that aches when it rains but doesn't stop you from walking. She vanished into whatever digital void scammers retreat to when they're done with their marks. But I didn't vanish. I'm still here, still breathing, still learning, still capable of hope, even if that hope is more cautious now. And maybe that's enough. Maybe being real in a world full of digital ghosts is its own kind of victory. The waves are still crashing outside my window, same as they always have, same as they always will. And I'm still here to see them. That has to count for something.